Starting with Commissioner Stewart on my left.
Robin Stewart, Planning Commission.
Aaron Shaw, Planning Commission.
RJ Harvey, Planning Commission.
Therese McDonald, Planning Commission.
Courtney Rose, Planning Committee.
Staff.
Alicia Osborne, Planning.
Zania Duhaney, Planning Staff.
Kathy Cornett, planning staff.
Erin Henson, Planning Staff.
Jonathan Beller, Stormwater.
Bethany Fritz, County Real Estate.
Jason Pauling, planning staff.
And again, my name is Andrew Blumenthal, happy to serve as the chair of the planning committee. First things first, hopefully everyone has had a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting 2 months ago in July. If there's no discussion, can I entertain a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion by Shaw, second by Harvey. We have 4 mandatory referrals this evening, and I believe representatives from everyone who may need to answer questions.
Do we have to vote on the minutes?
Oh, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It's only my second meeting, guys. Gotta come in ready. So we have 4 mandatory referrals. Does anybody have anything that they would like to pull for comment, discussion, questions, further review? No? I had one quick question on, I guess it would kind of be the first 2, right? But for stormwater services, obviously I understand why that is being pulled. This will be mandatory for 23-33. Understand why the property is being acquired. My only question relates to what you plan to do with that property as a part of the mitigation process.
For both properties?
I would assume, considering that they're adjacent, aren't they?
No,
Or are they
one's,
just down, are they?
one's on Prince Street and the other is on Eastway.
Oh, I was looking at Prince Street, both of them. All right, well, let's stay just for Prince Street. What is the mitigation that will be done on that property?
So that will just remain open space.
Open space? Are there gonna be trees planted, anything like that?
There could potentially be trees planted in the future as part
Okay.
of a volunteer effort. We'd leave it open space. We also have a stream restoration project in that area. So we're looking to acquire that. So we couldn't get an easement originally, so we would like to do some extra work on the stream side.
And then is Eastway gonna be anything different or?
No, it'll just remain open space. And that actually backs up to a lot of other county-owned properties. So there could be some future park and rec work in that area.
Okay.
But no structures will go back in that area.
Okay, understood. That's it for me. Does anybody else have questions on any of the 4 mandatory referrals?
No.
In that case, we will entertain a motion on all 4 of them at once.
Sorry, can I ask one question before we do that?
Yeah, of course.
And I apologize, it may be a novice question. Is there a mandate for stormwater? Like, is there a sort of the way Parks and Rec has their master plan of areas where they're trying to acquire land and areas where they're, sort of focused on? Is that similar for storm? I mean, I know the mandate would be different, but is it similar for stormwater in that you have areas where you're always looking for, always trying to acquire available property to sort of protect, I guess, the general public from buying in a floodplain? Is that sort of the mandate? And is there a cohesive geographic plan to that, or how does that work from your standpoint?
So we do have a 15-year plan and it's based off risk. So we've analyzed all of the floodplain properties in the county and assessed risk scores to them. The difference is we can't force people to sell. And so we do approach people and pay fair market value for the properties. But historically, this has been more, we get a lot more customers and movement after an event, after a flood event. That's when we move in. It's harder to get people to want to sell their properties, especially now with the current climate, property values and interest rates. It's very difficult.
Thank you.
On your way out quickly, would you mind making sure that at least myself, I have your contact information? there's a good chance we'll be reaching out to you to come tell us a little bit more about that 15-year plan at some point.
I can share it.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, it'd be likely sometime early 2024. But I think that would be very informative for all of us to learn a little bit more about that.
Sure.
Any other questions, comments? All right, well, we will now then, we can entertain a motion for all 4 mandatory referrals.
This is Commissioner Gaston. I make a motion. The Planning Committee reviewed mandatory referral reports 23-33, 23-34, 23-35, and 23-36 on September 19th, 2023, and have no additional comments for the submitting agency.
Second, Harvin.
We have a motion by Gaston, second by Harvey. If no further discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous. Next on the agenda, Kathy, I believe you have a community area plan update for us.
Yes, I was going to give you all, we've just kicked off last week, the second half of phase 2. So we had the 7 workshops in the spring and we've kicked off the remaining 7 for the fall last week. So a little bit of an update. We'll go to the next slide. Kind of where have we been? What have we heard? And where are we going? So I know many of you have seen this, but I guess it's a good reminder that we have 3 buckets of engagement: constant, coordinated, and collaborative. So the constant piece, there was a lot of not so great things that came out of the pandemic, but one for us is that we really upped our game on the constant elements that we use. So things that people can do 24/7 at their convenience, the website, newsletters, social media, the workbook, and also the toolkit and the story map. So all of those things have been very popular. Coordinated, those are our more in-person events. So the highlights of that are the spring and fall workshops and the library office hours. And also we have attended various neighborhood meetings and other outreach meetings and events as well. And then the collaborative is really you all and our other partners, our interdepartmental partners, elected and appointed officials, and keeping you all updated as well. Next slide. Where have we been? I mentioned that we've completed the first 7 of the 14. So the first 7 geographies were on the west side. We started on the west, kind of at the northwest, and kind of have worked our way around. And so that was 21 workshops and 7 geographies. We have the library office hours available every week, and that culminates in like 232 office hours that our staff's been available. And then we've done almost 30 other meetings in addition to these. Workshop themes. So at the workshops, the geographies are fairly large. We're not reinventing the comprehensive plan, we're building upon it. So in order to focus the conversation, we select 3 what we call focus areas, and each of those has themes that we're seeing around the community. So there are themes that affect pretty much everywhere in the community. Those are like, for example, balancing priorities is one general theme. And so neighborhoods adjacent to manufacturing is one that we've had at several workshops. Development along potential transit lines. That was at our most recent workshop along the Future Red Line. Development pressure in the environment. So where there's a lot of entitlements or recently approved rezoning petitions that are adding pressure to the surrounding area. That's another balancing priority bucket. And imagining innovative mixed use. So what could be, that's kind of a transformative place type. That's one that really addresses change and kind of understanding thoughts around that from the community a little better. And then the last few really focus more on the 10-minute neighborhood and our activity centers. So kind of gauging interest in those different aspects of the place type, and then confirming the vision for kind of a newer place type, the campus place type. So talking to the community about that. And again, in each of these, we're asking questions, probing questions, but really it ends up in a conversation among community members. And really it's us hearing thoughts more than like providing answers or solutions. It's really more information gathering. So some of the things that we've heard today around these topics, protecting single family neighborhoods. In the mapping work we did, it took two of the main goals that have bubbled to the top throughout all of the processes that we've done is protecting neighborhoods and established neighborhoods and protecting jobs. And so those are still two goals that the community very much prioritizes. There's been a lot of interest of mixed use transit at stations with buffering to manufacturing. So that's not only on our, future stations along the Silver Line, but we heard that along the Blue Line as well. Balancing priorities and in relation to the environment. We really didn't get any, that was not, I'd put it this way, it was not a real conversation generator among the community. Imagining mixed use, that was again not one that we had a whole lot of conversation about, other than folks agree with that vision and the intent of it. Creating 10-minute neighborhoods. There was a lot of conversation about neighborhood activity centers and a lot of appetite for additional areas of neighborhood 2 to help achieve that 10-minute goal. In addition to also recognizing for this particular issue and others that there are projects and programs that need to be in place that we'll talk about in phase 3 that are essential to achieving that vision. Creating new activity centers. This is where we talked about upgrading activity centers from maybe a neighborhood activity center to a community activity center. And there was appetite for that and support for that as well. And similarly, transforming our activity centers. Again, that there is appetite for that, but recognition very much that there are projects and programs necessary if that is going to happen in the future. And then talking about the campus place types, really the idea of or support for a mix of different uses to support that particular vision and to create a cohesive campus. So this round, where are we going? We just were in the North Middle Outer last week, and you can see the remaining 6 workshops. So it focuses on the North and the Northeast and kind of like more of our in-town communities on the east side of the city and county as well. And this gives you an idea of where we are as far as the meeting locations, workshops, and then our monthly office hours. And of course, our call to action to you is to help us promote the workshop. So we offer 3 different opportunities. The Tuesday virtual at lunchtime, which has remained our most popular. Thursday evening, which I would say has been the least popular, from 4 to 7, and then Saturday mornings from 9 to noon. And all of these are on our website, and I think I've sent you emails, and I'm happy to do that again if you need that again. If you're interested in helping to facilitate a workshop, now this is if you want to do the facilitation component that I talked about. We do have training sessions that we ask you to attend. Our staff has to attend them as well, just so we know all the background and history and particulars and what the questions are we're asking. I will say this, we have tried to hold the workshop format as true as we can to what we offered in the first round, but there are some tweaks that we recognize that we've made. And in the first set of workshops, it worked pretty well. We weren't really breaking out to the group in the breakout groups as much as we said we would, because we just haven't had the number of people to necessitate doing that. And also the conversation has really been better with, like 20-person groups. There's a lot more sharing and asking of questions of one another and those sorts of things. So we've changed the format to not have those breakout tables anymore and have more of a theater style seating, kind of like in a crescent shape. And instead of having the maps on a table, it was kind of hard for people to all gather around and see and point and ask questions and those sorts of things. We have it on a screen now, a large screen, and then they're also available as 11 by 17 handouts to everyone. So those are some of the changes that we've made. And in making those changes, we really haven't needed as many facilitators as we thought we would. But with all that said, if you are interested in doing it, you are welcome to, and we can send you, the trainings are the the Thursday before the first Tuesday workshop. So just agenda, I think they're at 1 o'clock. And that's pretty much all I have. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Yes, they are in person because we're looking at the maps and all of that. Yes, they're here. They have been mostly up in the large conference room on the 8th floor.
And can I ask a couple of slides back, you talked about desire for preserving single family neighborhoods and also a desire for 10-minute neighborhoods, which are kind of contradictory. Is that different groups of people desiring those two things, or is that just a contradiction that people are making?
No, I wouldn't say that. It's maybe I think we've heard it pretty consistently throughout. I think that the goal of the 10-minute neighborhood is a 10-minute walk, bike, or transit trip from goods and services that you need, just some way other than a vehicle. So folks are very interested in that. And they're also very interested in, protecting existing neighborhoods. So.
Any other questions? One quick thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, everyone, this is Robin Stewart, our newest planning commissioner. He joined us at the retreat for those that weren't able to join, but we're very excited to have you here and thank you for your input already. Only two things. One, Kathy, I'm assuming everyone else around the dais here got the wave of emails this morning. Just so you know, Florence Knight is L. So I believe you met her at the last, I guess, was she at the last full commission meeting?
I don't think so.
You
'cause
may
I
have
think
not
she's-
met Elle yet.
she
Elle
just
is-
started, yeah.
She was at retreat. Okay, so you've all met Elle. So when I saw Florence Knight, I didn't know who that was. But Florence Knight is L. So all of those came through. They have the days and times of the in-person meetings, not the virtual that I see, but the in-persons. The northeast middle outer still shows the location as TBD on what she sent us this morning. Okay.
Yeah, there's
have an
the
idea where that
one
might
workshop that we're having a hard time nailing down a location.
Okay. Well, obviously, once you know, I'm sure that will be sent
Yeah,
out. I'm just
mhm.
curious. I think that is it. If we have no other questions for Kathy. On the same note, however, Commissioner McDonald was able to make the what I believe it was the Thursday and then the Tuesday virtual for the North Middle Outer. And assuming you've been able to kind of collect your thoughts on that, wanted to just report back quickly on what you were able to learn from that.
Thank you. Yes, I was able to attend the Tuesday virtual, although I got interrupted in that. So the in-person experience was definitely a much better experience for me. And my thoughts were, and I apologize if I may have missed it I sometimes think I'm listening very carefully and then I've missed something key. So, but I felt like in the introduction, it was just kind of missed exactly what we were doing. And it's very small sample. There really were only 3 or 4 members of the public in the event that I was in. So I don't know if that is a thought that you agree on, or if you just think, that there was good discussion, but there had to be some clarifying questions before people really understood
Yeah,
kind of what the assignment was.
if you have suggestions that you think would make that better, please share them and
Yeah.
we're very
Yeah.
happy to incorporate those.
And I don't know if I missed it or maybe somebody else missed it, but just maybe an explanation about how we got to this point and what the map actually is showing and what questions we're working on answering. And then the other thought I had was the workbooks, maybe having some samples of the workbooks for people if they wanted to go and do some more work in their communities, to have those available just to look at and see if that's something they wanted to take up and try to get a group together to. I don't know what the response has been on the workbooks, if you've had participation.
It's a digital, they're
Yes.
digital, so they're on the website. We don't actually have them printed, but we could certainly print out some sample pages from the website and bring them to the meeting.
Yeah, or maybe, I suppose, even show just that in case people wanted more homework. Maybe I'm projecting, I don't know. But yeah, those were the thoughts that came to my mind. The other thing I was curious about was the 3 sort of cases that you picked. Maybe some explanation about how those were picked from that big area.
Sure. So each of our staff is assigned one of those areas and is responsible for that, knowing that area. So we went through a variety of different elements or site visits. Where are we seeing development pressures? Where in the policy map were there comments? Where were there instances where the mapping decision-making could have gone one way or another? So all of those elements go into that, and we work together to decide. Each staff person will bring a few, 5 or 6 different possibilities, and then we work together to decide which ones kind of fit the best in terms of the themes we're looking at and other things.
All right, thank you, Commissioner McDonald, and thank you for attending. As Kathy mentioned, we have 6 left. And one of our kind of objectives coming out of retreat was to have at least 1 representative from the planning committee at all those 6. Commissioner Rhodes very kindly put together a Google spreadsheet for us to track that, at least informally. And what we have at this point, the next one is going to be the North Inner. And I believe that we have Commissioners Gaston and McDonald going to that. Am I correct? I don't mean to volunteer you necessarily, but your name was already down. Okay. Okay.
Formally signed.
Okay, great. And then we have for the last 2, the East Inner, we have Commissioner Rhodes and Stewart. And then for the South Inner, we have Commissioners Harvey, Shaw, and then our chairman, Mr. Welton, will be there as well. I will likely be there also just because I live there. But that leaves us with 3, the East Middle Outer, Northeast Inner, and Northeast Middle, starting October 10th and then ending on November 28th. So that kind of through that span that we don't have anybody yet signed up for. Again, this is going to be a call for volunteers from the 7 of us in this room. I believe this is the first time that we've had 7 in this room for quite a while, which is exciting. But a call for volunteers. I will be going to at least one of them, if not all 3, if no one else volunteers. So don't do that to me. But I will, my plan was kind of just fill in any of the gaps here. However, I'll go to as many as I possibly can. And if it's something where you can't commit today, that's fine. We will not have another planning committee meeting before that Northeast Middle. So, so at the very least, I guess that Northeast Middle, that October 10th is is that the Thursday in person?
Tuesday.
October 10th is Tuesday, so that's gonna be the virtual. The training is then going to be on the 5th, October 5th. That is in 2.5 weeks. I am happy to take one of those, so I will sign myself up for one.
I'm attending. I don't know if I filled it out yet on the spreadsheet. I know Courtney, Commissioner Rhodes, thanks for resending the spreadsheet. I need to fill it out, but I did commit at least via email to Northeast Inner. I don't know if you have that
Northeast
down.
Inner.
Oh,
I did not.
So but I did
do
not
that.
put it on the spreadsheet yet.
All right, well, we have you now.
But I
That
did
leaves,
get
and again, that there's still an open slot to join either Commissioner Shaw at that or myself at the Northeast Middle. We do have one slot for the East, Middle and Outer. November 7th and 11th, I believe are going to, or 2 of those dates. That's the one I believe that is still TBD. Am I correct? East, Middle and Outer. Am I right though?
The
Okay.
seventh.
The schedule you guys have is what we did.
Okay.
So they're all the same, what's on mine, what we have, what you have.
Okay, so the location is still TBD on that one.
On the 7th or are the 11th?
On the both.
On both. Okay, gotcha.
Both.
But they are, but the 7th is in person, not virtual, right? Is that correct?
I'll double check that. The 7th, it looks like is Tuesday. So 7th is virtual. And then the 9th and the 9th isn't on there. The 9th and 11th will be
All the
in person.
All the third.
They're in
In
person,
person, okay.
right?
Same location.
Gotcha.
Every time she does the first day.
Right. And that's all. We could tweak this spreadsheet a little bit just to get that Thursday on there.
Mhm.
But do we have anybody at least tentatively for that East, Middle and Outer?
And then the one on the 7th, you said,
This, either the 7th or the 11th.
we know that's fun, right?
Or the 7th.
No, the 7th is election day. Have we factored that in, Alicia?
But
I guess that's a question for staff. Are we gonna make any sort of change given that the 7th is election day?
No, for the actual.
For the actual, that is the virtual workshop is on election day. That,
Yeah, well, there's 2 other opportunities the same week.
Yeah.
Like if that in the lunchtime doesn't work, then they can come Thursday or Saturday.
no, and that's fine. I was just curious. If we
Yeah,
thought
you
about that.
know, we're pinched.
only got so many days.
Like we were told to do this in 2 years, so, we're trying to make that deadline.
Yeah, I will be out of time for that training, but. And again, we will have another planning committee meeting before that, so we can reconvene at that time if we need to. Which looking around, it looks like we may need to, so. At the very least, we have somebody at every geography at this point, minus that one, and we'll get that filled in. All right, wanted to get that done. The only other thing I wanted to mention today, and then I'll give everybody back about an hour and a half of their time, is we have successfully gotten presenters for the remainder of 2023. We will be having Tree Charlotte and the Catawba Lands Conservancy in October, October. We will have the CDOT for an update on the strategic mobility plan in November. And then Katie Lloyd will be coming to give us an update on the Greenway plan in December. As we get into the next month or two, we can discuss obviously at this venue, but also I'll be reaching out to some of you individually, kind of as we discussed at the retreat. Commissioner Gaston, for example, the only thing we volunteered you to do was to get some of the North End neighborhood representatives maybe in to give us a presentation on what is going on. I know Commissioner Harvey's.
That would be me.
Okay, well, then you can present. Commissioner Harvey is going to be doing the same for the West End. And then we have some other ideas circling around. I know we talked about the airport, but I think we're going to try and get that to be the full commission meeting. Because I know a lot of people are going to have questions there. But for stormwater, for example, we'll reach out, we'll get everything else filled in, but at the very least, for the next 3 months, you won't have to just listen to me talk. We will have other people than Kathy and myself presenting. And I'm excited to hear what they have to say just for our own education and to, better inform our decision making. With all of that being said, looking at the agenda, it looks like we have done everything we were supposed to do today. So do we have any other questions, comments, topics for discussion? All right. In that case, can I please get a motion to adjourn? All right.
Second.
Right.